Hello dear dance friends, my name is Igor and welcome back to the DanceSport series where we speak about everything related to ballroom dancing. Today we're gonna have another tutorial video and it's gonna be about Cuban Motion, or other words, Cuban Action. Many of you know Cuban Action as a figure 8 that we're dancing in our hips. Also, I would like to highlight that the Cuban Action is the fundamental movement that differentiates Latin American dances from any other dance styles. Before we're going to start talking about our hip action during the Cuban Motion, we need to understand that any hip action is the reaction of our knees or our footwork. And for that, I would like to start with a simple exercise, yes, that will help us to develop a proper feeling of the Cuban Motion. Let's imaginary split our body to two sides. We have right side and left side. And we're going to release one side and stretch the other. Create a comfortable position. Now, can you imagine elevator that runs inside of your body? It's almost like two power. One power will work down, the other one at the same time will work up. One will work down, the other one will work up. How this power relating with each other in this action? First of all, I will press down by straightening my free knee. Down, down, down to neutral position. And then stretch opposite, continue pressing down into the hip and stretching up the opposite side. We're gonna start straightening our free knee, pressing it down into the floor, to neutral position, continue pressing down and stretching the opposite side. And let's have 2 counts on each action. So it's going to be like that. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Press down, release, stretch, down, release, stretch, down and stretch, down and stretch. Very good. So now, before we're going to connect this 2 power in our Cuban Motion, yes, we need to understand which type of hip action we're using in Cuban Motion. And we're using 2 types of hip action. The first action will be pendulum action. Second hip action will be rotation. What is pendulum action and why do we need pendulum action in our hips? Pendulum action, just by natural mechanic of our body in our hips, we're using to transfer our weight from foot to foot. Even when we, in normal life, we're walking on the street, every time when we're stepping on the foot, we have a small pendulum action that's working in our hips and naturally transfer weight from foot to foot. So, in Cuban Action, we're using 2 types of hip action. Yes, we said it's a pendulum action and a rotation action. And we also learned that we need a pendulum action to transfer our weight from foot to foot. Now, we're going to keep our feet together, we're going to keep our heels down on the floor, and we're going to release one leg. The first action, yes, we're going to start not with your hips, but as we did exercise before, the first action will be in your knee, pressing down into your foot, pressing down into the floor. And this action is supposed to naturally create a pendulum action in your hips. So as you can see right now, my priority not goes on my hip. My hip will be reaction on my main action, straightening my knee and pressing down into the floor, creating the pendulum action. Now, when I did this, I have my standing foot and I have my free foot. After that, I would like you to imagine that someone holding your hip, yes, and rotating your hip around your foot. At the same time, when this is happening, we did a pendulum action, we transfer fully our weight on the standing foot. We grabbed our hip, we rotated around our foot, and the free leg we released and create nice opposition between our knees. Yes, and the same. We're pressing down into the floor and we're transferring our hip from foot to foot. Yes, we're creating pendulum action, or I also would like to call this action transition. Transition from foot to foot. And from here, we're grabbing our hip and we're rotating our hip around our foot and releasing the free foot, the free leg. Let's try to practice this action in the music, and we're going to use three different timings. Yes, first one will be slow. We're going to use one action for 2 counts. It's going to look like that. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and we're going to do it 2 times. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Then we're going to use regular rumba timing. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And the third timing will be syncopated. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. Let's try any music. We have 2 action. Yes, we have pendulum action in our hip, which is transferring our weight from foot to foot, and I like to call it transition. And from here we're grabbing our hip and we're creating rotation around our foot. And again, transition to the right, rotation, transition to the left, rotation, transition to the right, rotation, transition to the left, rotation. We're going to do it absolutely in the same time. We're going to do it 2, 3, 4, 1, regular timing, 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 1, and syncopating, 2 and 3. Again guys, for now I would ask you not to lift up your heel from the floor. Keep flat foot on the floor so you will feel more action through your feet into the floor. And now also we're gonna go a little bit deeper in detail. To understand if you're doing the rotation correct, I would like to break your rotation to 2 points. I'm using 3 positions in my foot when I'm dancing Cuban motion. So the first one, when transition is happening, I'm placing my hip on the foot. Now when I'm starting doing my rotation, the first action, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in the foot. So right now my hip will be on top of my ball of the foot. And now I'm gonna start pressing from that ball of the foot to go from the foot. and this is when I'm finishing my rotation. Your hip's supposed to be on top of your heel. Now again, we're creating transition action by pressing down into the foot. Transition, yes. When I'm gonna start rotation, one more time. Transition action on the foot, rotation action in the foot, and out of the foot on the heel. And again, transition on the foot, pressing in the foot, out of the foot on the heel. Transition on the foot, pressing in the foot on the ball of the foot, and rotation from the foot on the heel. And let's quickly run through everything we said today. So the first, we have two power inside of our body. Yes, we split our side to two parts, right and left. And when the one power works down, the other one at the same amount of power, stretching our opposite side, going up and switch. We're pressing one side down by pressing down into the floor and releasing and stretching our opposite side. The second thing, any hip action is supposed to be a reaction of what's happening in our knee and our feet. That's why I'm asking you to keep your heels down on the floor, so your hip will be a reaction on using your knee through your foot down into the floor. Then we speak about that we break our figure 8, which is Cuban action, yes, or Cuban motion, to two parts. First part we create, it was pendulum action in our hip, which is transition, and we create rotation action around our foot. Create transition, rotation action. We tried it in a feet together with 3 different timings. We tried it with a split position as well with 3 different timings. And the last thing, to feel your rotation a little bit more grounded, we speak about that we have 3 positions that I'm using on my foot. When I'm doing transition, I'm pressing my hip on the foot. When I'm starting using rotation, I feel that my hips go in the foot on the ball of the foot, and then I'm going from the foot, out from the foot, rotating my hip back on the heel of my standing foot. Now again, I have a transition from foot to foot. I'm placing my hip on the foot, then I'm starting rotation, I'm going deeper in the foot, and then rotating